Hey yo, I'm doing a drawing/painting of my favorite book, Kalahari by Jessica Corey. I actually got this book in 8th grade and I got to meet the author, and she's very sweet, a very nice person to meet. I really enjoyed all of her books. I've read a couple of other ones as well, but this is a science fiction novel and it deals with, I think it's like bioengineering kind of. And this company on this safari land, pretty much, makes this virus that gets into the animals, gets into the humans, like gets into everybody, and pretty much kills them, turns them into savage, horrible beings. And so that's the kind of antagonist of this story, as well as like the company that made it. But the protagonist of this story is a girl named Sarah, and her and her family are having 5 teenagers come down and kind of check it out, kind of camp there because they need more funding for a new cruiser. And so the 5 teenagers show up. Sarah doesn't really know how to interact with other teenagers her age because she kind of grew up around animals in her family her entire life up until that point. So she's kind of awkward. She's kind of like, kind of brutish. And so she ends up having to greet them. But that's when her dad ends up finding poachers on the land, and so he has to go and try and find them and report them to the government. And she's like, please don't go, like, you know what happened to her mom. And so her mother went out and did the same thing, but ended up getting into a very bad car crash. But in the story, there's a twist. So the virus that the company was making, her mother found out about it, and so they ended up killing her by using the virus on a bunch of bees and sending them after the truck that she was in, and she ended up crashing and they found her with a whole bunch of bee stings all over her body. So spoiler alert if you wanted to read it. But yeah, my favorite part about this book is all of the action and all of like the attention to detail that Corey really tries to put into this book. And a lot of the scenes, like there's this other protagonist. It's a silver tiger who has the virus, and it's really aggressive. It's the one on the book cover that you can see right there. But I just decided to incorporate that into my painting because it's a really important piece of the story because it follows them around everywhere, like almost everywhere that they go. So since the lion's like a big part of the story, that's pretty much the main reason that I decided to incorporate it into the painting. But after reading this story for probably the 4th, maybe 5th time, I got a lot more detail, a lot more insight into it as I kept reading on. The main thing that I got like more information on was the virus that the company was making, and in the book they called it metallicum, and it turns the animals, or pretty much anybody it really comes in contact with, like if you touch it, you can get poisoned with it. So I learned more about that, which actually was really interesting, and how like people can probably make some of the same things that were in this story, but just not as harsh. But you never know with science, honestly. The main reason why I wanted to do this book was because it holds a little special place in my heart because it's one of the main books that got me like actually into like reading, because almost all of her books are extremely interesting, so I recommend going to read them. But this one really like hit home because I like Sarah. She's very like into like the nature of like everywhere she's lived, like everywhere she's super interested in it. She loves all the animals, and I want to be a marine biologist, and so I kind of like related to her on that level of like wanting to like be out in the open, like dealing with animals and like wanting to protect them. So that's one of the main reasons I just really relate with the main character. To really tie this painting together, I decided to include Sarah's hand because she gets infected with the metallicum and gets shot, but the metallicum ends up protecting her in place of just getting medical help. And I think everything in this painting really went well together, and all of the colors all really fit together. So yeah, that is my painting of Kalahari by Jessica Corey.